Good evening. It's Wednesday at 9 p.m. This is the Whatnot podcast where we put the what into whatnot. I'm Mike Z.
I'm Chris, and it's 7 p.m. Central Time.
Central or Mountain?
Mountain. Yeah, that's what I said. Mountain time. Sorry.
Utah's really close to that,
Yeah.
Mississippi River.
We're in the mountains. And I'm Gary.
And Gary Jones joins us this evening because he has had a wild ride in the maker community. And I had a feeling that if anyone could describe just the overall getting into it to all of the people he's met and just the wonderful story that he has in his journey in this, that, well, Gary has the best story I've found.
So yeah, if you ever wanted to meet somebody who was everybody's friend, well, you're meeting him tonight, and his name is Gary.
I'm sure there'll be a few out there who disagree, but
let them have their cake and potatoes.
Potatoes.
And there's John. Thank you for joining us, John. Good old Angus. He's in here.
Angus, how are you, buddy?
Mr. Kyle Ely.
The ever-present Kyle.
That's right. Oh, there we go. Okay. I'll work this thing eventually. Oh, Landon's here.
Hey, Landon.
Landon's partners with Nick for the Stated Woods. Business partners.
I think he's the smart one.
It looks like it. He's the photographer.
Yeah, I think he's the smart one. So
he's here first, so yes, he is.
I would have said it even if Nick was here.
That's true. All right, so we'll just get started. So Gary, you've had a wild ride. Tell us a little bit about how before you decided to retire and then you were looking for something to do, which became the maker community, and just how that whole thing worked out. Give us a little bit of backstory on you.
Well, let's see. I'm old. How's that starting it?
But you look young.
We've learned it's older.
Yeah. I'm definitely old.
Still have all your hair, so that's a benefit.
That's true. I do, Chris.
A good amount of it.
That's okay, Chris. You remind me of my dad. I only knew my dad with your haircut. I didn't mean that like you're old, but I meant your haircut. So.
No, you the hole's already dug now. So.
All right, we'll go there. So, anyway, I don't know. I've always liked to do things. Like my mother is a phenomenal maker. They didn't call her a maker. There was no such thing like that. But my mom is probably the most talented woman I've ever met in my life. And I met a lot of makers. She is a general contractor. She's an artist. She's designed and had her own ski clothing business. She quilts, she paints, she sews, she does. If there was something that needed to be done, she would just do it. And so I grew up seeing that my whole life. If you were to walk into her house that she designed, built, and decorated, there's nothing in that house that she hasn't touched. So my dad, on the other hand, had zero interest in any of it. So, but he was supportive of my mom. So I think I've always been around it, and came from, a generation of people who did things on their own. And so I've always kind of been involved in making things or DIY, I guess the best thing. I'll take that project on. I'll build those cabinets in the garage. I'll try that stuff. But my career that I had was crazy. And in terms of travel, etc. I ended up going into the computer business, and I ended up doing international and worldwide sales and marketing, and have traveled to almost every continent I haven't been to Africa or the Middle East, but every other continent I've been to multiple times in multiple countries. So I didn't have a lot of time to do that type of thing, but I always had a little table saw, like a little contractor saw, and that type of thing, and would always do things around the house. But I don't know, not too many years ago, probably about 2017, 2018, I decided, okay, I'm really going to do this shop that I wanted to do forever. And I had the space and the time and the room, and the kids had grown and gone. And I thought, okay, now's the time. And I kept threatening to build a miter saw station or something like that. And my friend goes, he goes, well, you just ought to get online and look and see what's going on. and what a rabbit hole. So I got online, and I think one of the first videos I saw was Jay Bates and Jay's miter saw station, who I think almost every miter saw station I've seen out there has been somewhat patterned after what he did. And I'm sure he patterned his after something else. I don't know. And then some guy talked about this guy named a wood whisperer, and I'm going, a what? Which is Mark Spagnola. And I went down a rabbit hole deep. And I think I hardly watched anything but YouTubes for months. And I went, oh my gosh, look at this, look at this, look at this. My wife calls it wood porn. That's what she calls it. So I kind of go, yeah, it could be. Anyway, take it however you want, but that's what she calls it. So, I would go down that path, and I started looking at it, and I went, oh my goodness, how much information is out there. And then all of a sudden you could make a comment or ask a question. And, you'd think an IT guy would know this kind of stuff, but that was work. I didn't want anything to do with it once I got home. And the whole ability to go and see and learn from other people. And now it's so commonplace. You want to fix a car, YouTube it, right? Mm-hmm. University of YouTube, as they call it. But for some reason, I started interacting with these folks. And then I realized I kind of stumbled on Izzy and Izzy Swan. And, I think, I can't remember whether the first thing I saw was the walking dinosaur or not. But, he's sort of famous for the drill powered
everything.
Yeah, thank you. Drill powered everything. And it was interesting to look at that. And then he had this group, this group that was called the Toolmasters Association. And I thought, well, that sounds interesting. I'd never heard, there was nothing like Patreon that I remember at that point in time, or any of this. There was no talk of tribes or whatever the heck we call this crap. It was just, he had this TMA, Toolmasters Association. And he was doing like live weekly sessions where you could ask what's going on. You could, text back and forth if you're a member. And I go, well, I think I want to be a member. Plus there was a tool that I wanted. And if you join the group, you got a discount. So yeah, I can be cheap. And so I thought I'll join and see what it is. And I just would start commenting on his posts or on a YouTube post or do whatever. And I started getting responses, which was a bit surprising. But Izzy, I would tune in on his weekly discussion that he had live at the time. And I just started interacting with him, and he sent me the nicest text one day. And he goes, Gary, you're one of the most positive guys on the group. And I really was taken back by that, because I don't understand why he even said that, because I didn't understand why. I didn't know what trolls were. Never heard of that crap, So anyway, and you could interact, you could text and interact while he was on the live, and he would answer questions. And we would interact quite often on, with other members of that group. And then he decided he was going to go up to Kalkuska. And this is, I'm getting there. But, and he was going up to Kalkuska to create a makerspace and, try a different avenue from a career type path thing. And he was mentioning what he was going to do. And I just texted him privately and I said, I really would like to come and help. And he goes, really? What do you want to come and help for? And I go, well, I just think it would be fun. And I was retired. And thanks to my sweet wife, who still works part-time at the airlines, I get to fly for free.
Even better.
So it wasn't a big, like I had to drive there or all that. So I mentioned that I would do that. And he goes, well, okay, let me talk about that. And in the meantime, this was like in June of 2017. For some strange reason, there was a little group of YouTubers that were pretty well known at the time. They were going to try to hold an event in Skiatook, Oklahoma. And it included folks like Jay Bates, Sean Stone, George Van, I never say George's name right, Van Dreska, thank you. Braxton Worthen and a bunch of other folks. And I didn't really know these people. I'd interacted with them once or twice. And it happened to be about about a half hour to 45-minute drive from where my son lived in Oklahoma. And I thought, well, I'll just fly out, see the grandkids and go down there. And I took my grandson, Blake, who was 5 at the time, Blakey, and thought, I'll take him down there with me. Well, that was like bringing a puppy to a singles bar. So I took him down there, and he was so engrossed, so engaged with everything that he saw. It was very low key. It was out in a big field, and they'd set up these booths. And I think at night they were sitting around the campfire and slamming them back and, talking about what this was all about. And Blakey loved it. And the attention and the kindness that was shown to him and to me in that event kind of just changed it just started a journey that I still today am kind of humbled by. And I thanked all of those people. I thanked Jay. I thanked him because they'd help me do things. They'd help me learn. And I think George goes, people don't thank us. I go, well, why? I don't know. I just did it. I was grateful that I'd learned so much from these guys. And now I got to tell them face to face. And they took a liking to Blakey, and George put him on his lap, helped him do a CNC sign that said Blakey and all that kind of thing. And Braxton showed him what the lathe was all about. And by the way, Braxton Worthen just passed away last week, which was a rough deal. Because I started a relationship with Braxton, a young guy, and he's never done anything but show kindness in this community, so it's a big loss. But and Jay gave him everybody was clamoring, all the old guys were clamoring because Jay had made some screwdriver or some handle. He gives it to Blakey. Sean Stone's there and they're all wanting some, gives it to Blakey. They were making birdhouses, gave it to Blakey. And so Blakey's walking out with all his stuff. And I said, I literally was like bringing hey, Nick, how you doing, bud? It was like bringing a kid to a singles bar, a puppy. It was, but they were so kind, and they still remember him. They still remember him. Every once in a while, I'll get a comment. How's Blakey doing? That's
awesome.
5 years ago. And then the next event was Izzy. And I said that. And then Izzy goes, well, maybe we'll have a maker meetup and we'll see what we can do. So I went up there, and a bunch of people saw the comment. A bunch of people piled on. We went up there with his ragtag group. And I walked in, and I was by far the oldest guy in the room, by far. And worked most of them to death, but they were there. That's the group. I think there was a couple of guys that showed up later, but there we were in the January in Kalkuska, Michigan, just south of the UP, in this big shop, trying to help create this space that Izzy was trying hard to make. And quite an event, quite an opportunity. And Izzy and I had already communicated, but that was the first time I met him face to face. And I walked in, and we got along well. There was a lot of ego in that room. A lot of those guys were there going, well, how do you do this YouTube? How do you do this thing? And they'd all go, Gary, do you have a YouTube channel? I go, no. And they go, really? And I go, no. Do you have an Instagram account? And I went, no. They go, what are you doing here? And I go, well, I came to help Izzy, and Izzy and I spent a couple of breakfasts off to the side just so I think he could breathe, because, he was staying with them, and all in this office building. They were all sleeping on mattresses, and they were all enjoying themselves and, getting a little bit. And I don't drink. So at about 10 o'clock at night, I go, have a good night, guys. See you tomorrow.
I'm done.
He goes, don't you want to stay here? And I go, no, I'm good at the hotel. I'm just fine. So it was kind of fun, but they nicknamed me Gare Bear. It was either Pops or Gare Bear. And they all started calling me Gare Bear. And that was what it just stuck, And so that's where Gare Bear Woodworks came from. And at one point I thought, hey, maybe I want to do something with this whole social media and YouTube, and, maybe I could monetize it. Don't even want to.
Don't even want to jump into that water in that pool.
I don't think. I thought maybe it'd be fun, and I don't know. It's not what brought me joy out of it. So that was the journey, and from that point, Izzy and I became really close. And I consider him one of my best friends. We talk, if not weekly, almost weekly, at least once or twice. I've got to know his kids. I've seen him now over years kind of grow, and I've been to his shop
numerous times.
Yeah, numerous times, and usually go out there and we just work, and I don't mind it. I love it. I don't care what we do. It's hanging, it's in the shop. It's whether it's building a CNC or cabinets or sweeping the floor. It's all good.
I was going to say, because I think that majority of the comments here seem to be about sweeping the floors. And
Yeah,
he
I
still
know.
has Diet Coke in the
I
fridge.
think I have a broom with my name on it. Like Angus has got a broom with my name on it.
Nick's got a broom.
Nick wants a broom. Yeah, I know. So
I really expected to see you in some of his posts, you down at his house driving the skid steer, leveling out some of that crushing room he's
man,
doing.
I want to do that. I know. Well, I might be there next week.
There
It
you
could
go.
happen.
That's a
Just
joy
in,
about
just
being
in time for
retired.
the new machine to arrive.
Oh, that's usually what happens. I go there and we're putting together a CNC, and we always have these high hopes, like we'll do something fun with it. And usually, by the time I have to leave, it's like, can it move yet?
Not quite there yet.
Yeah. So, but I put a few abnets together. That's for sure. So
Yeah, because actually, all the ones in the background, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you put those together that he has there at the Maker's Playground now?
yeah, I think I had a hand in all of them.
Mhm.
There were two. The first one was the 4x4 or the 4x8, and the second one was the 5x10, which is really 6x12. As far as actual size, and then the last one was another 5x10 capacity that we put together. Nick came down and helped on that one a little bit. Yeah, there's Nick, and
That one there.
yep, and Maggie. That's Maggie in the back there. Yeah, that one was interesting, and I don't even understand how smart Izzy is. He's an amazing. It's really fun to watch that guy's brain work.
Yes, I
It's
can agree with that.
really interesting. It's
on another level.
It's something to see. I've learned and been around him enough to kind of see what's happening now. He goes in this trance. It's just like he'll just sit there at the whatever workstation or whatever he's at, kind of goes in this thinking mode, and then he goes, okay, pops up. Next thing you know, stuff's flying. Saws flying, everything's flying, and just stuff's coming together. Things are being thrown around, and then and it's like, what the heck? And then all of a sudden he'll go back and kind of I gotta go think about things for a minute, and then boom again. And it's designed in his head before he hardly ever puts a hammer to it.
Best way I can describe it is if you've ever been in a shop or in a setting where someone has to like twiddle the pencil in their finger, where they're just kind of staring off into space, or it looks like they're over there doing something like reading something, but they're not reading anything.
Right.
Or that's exactly how it looks. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, it's done in his head and he's ready to move on.
Yeah. Yeah. It's really, it's an amazing thing to watch, so. But anyway, and since then, I've just been able to meet a lot of people call me Izzy's Gary or whatever, but, he and Jess Crow are in a war about whether I'm Izzy's or Jess's. And I haven't been up to see Jess yet. She keeps inviting me up to Alaska, and I really want to get up there, but COVID hit and hey, Jess, we all stopped. Everything stopped. And so, although she did come through Utah, and I went and saw her met her at the airport, and, said hi to her. She was coming down for Little Giant, I think, or something like that.
Yeah, she's on the move. This past year, she's been on the move.
Yeah, she's on the move a lot, and but there's just, I can't even list all the people. And
well, luckily you sent us a lot of pictures, so we can go through.
Yeah, I'm sorry about that.
Now we expect names for every single one of them, Gary.
Yeah, well, good. I hope that I can fail.
No, you won't fail. I have good faith in you.
Well, I think we talked about community, and I think one of the things that my friend, before I got on, I was talking to him, and he goes, well, what are you going to say? And I go, I have no idea. But I think the thing about this is there's so much discussion about social media and the good and the bad of it. And there's a lot of bad right now about it. I guess Facebook goes down for 6 to 8 hours, and I didn't notice, which is a good thing.
That's a good thing.
And, but there's just so much going on with it. I mean, the guys in Congress and all that kind of stuff. And I have found it to be an amazing way to make friends of people all over the country and even further out, even into Australia, and I feel like I would never have had that opportunity, especially when you stop traveling and, you're not working and you're not meeting them through those venues, to have met so many good people. And I think this community in particular, the maker community, the woodworking community, whatever you want to call it, the general attitude for the far majority of them, they stay away from political crap. It's about, I'm here to help. And that's how I feel. It's like, I'm here to teach, I'm here to show, I'm here to learn, I'm here to share. And that's what's just really, really, I think, awesome.
Yes.
So, and you can make it what you want. I mean, I'm sure some are in it and it becomes a business. And I've heard the bit of moaning about the algorithms changing and the pain, and it can become a burden. But if you can get past that part and just focus on the friendships and that, I think it's pretty amazing.
I think that a lot of people are seeing it as, if you just do what you enjoy doing and don't worry so much about the algorithms,
Yep.
It becomes enjoyable. There's those that go down the road and really dive into what makes this tick. I want to be viral, or however they want to look at it.
Right.
And that also has a lot of effect on, now they've taken the fun out of it and made it into a chore, is the best way I know how to look at it.
And you can feel it. You can feel it in their content, and,
Yeah.
and you can feel the angst that they might have. And then I think it's really being who you are. Most people that I've met face to face, in fact, almost all the people I've met face to face, are much as they represent themselves in online, and I think the few experiences that I've had that have been kind of didn't feel good or weird, I don't know how to say it, but was where it didn't seem authentic. It didn't seem like the person that I was talking to online or interacting with. I mean, of course, you don't know them intimately, like, I got to know some intimately, like Izzy and others, and, but they seem to be themselves and they seem to be genuine. And when that happens, then all of this social media stuff is just a good stepping stone to becoming a real good personal friend.
Yep. You got to know when to, you got to know when to hold them, and you got to know when to fold them when it comes to social media. You really do. Like, there's some people that I will mute for a while because they'll start going off on political rants or whatever. And I just personally, I take all information in and then just kind of decide on what I feel. Yeah. But at the same time, if someone's just constantly showing it in the feed, and I'm like, you know what, it's time for you to just be quiet for a little while. Like, it's too much. That's what I do. Like, they have made that a part of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Chris, what you think?
I'm used to getting muted by you, so it's okay.
Not even.
So,
hey, Angus, if you know someone who's looking for it, I'm more than happy to help.
Yeah, he's got that low radio voice, So
it was funny because my mom used to always tell me that, and I just didn't quite get it. And then I think there was a video somewhere she had of me. It was, one of those old camcorders from the 90s where I had a boombox, and there was one particular person on the radio, and I went to go find this voice. So in Arizona, there was a radio station called the Coyote. It was the jazz station. And there was always one guy that would come on, and he had this voice that everybody in the valley knew. And it'd always be like, 95.5 WKYOD. I'd always try to mimic that because I always thought it was cool.
That's right.
And now we're here in 2021.
Oh, there you go. Someone's trying to hire you, Mike.
There you go. I'll do that for JP. Nick says, yeah, sultry is a little bit better. I don't know about all that.
I was just waiting for Nick to say you had a good face for radio too, but he didn't do it.
No, that's what his dad told him.
Yeah.
His mom said, man, you got a great voice for radio. And his dad said, yeah, you got a great face for radio too.
Yeah, that's right.
Luckily, Chris has met my dad. So.
See, Angus has taken a break for a while, and,
yeah.
And I
I
think I've
remember.
been lucky too. There's a lot of good makers in Utah, and had a chance to. It's funny. I had to go clear back to Workbench Con to help. I was helping Izzy one time to meet a lot of people from Utah. But since then, we've sort of really stayed in touch, and like Chris and you, Mike, you're a long way from where I live, and so's Nick, and and
But at
I
the
bet they've
same
heard.
time, you reach out for anything, I'm more than happy to help.
And
You can
you
ask
do.
Chris. I'm horrible at texting back. I don't know why. I don't mean
You
to be
text
that
me,
way.
Chris. What's going on, bud?
Yeah, you need to message him on Facebook or message him on Instagram, and you get a pretty quick response. If
Is
you
that right?
text him, it might be tomorrow or next week before you get any kind of response.
Messenger for sure. That's the only way really my wife and I communicate. If I'm out doing whatever, then it's Messenger. Text messages I barely even look at anymore. Because most of them are all like, Sonic or Bed Bath and Beyond or Home Depot, someone trying to sell me something in my SMSs.
Yeah. Yeah, I just saw somebody post that they just like to build. I mean, I sometimes I forget to even post anything, and I'll go blank for a week, and that isn't what you're supposed to do if you want to maintain engagement, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You
It's all about that scientific.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's why for me, it's not just on the weekends. There might be something here and there during the week, but for the most part, that's when I'm actually doing something that, Chris is constantly telling me, like, dude, that's good content. I didn't think of it at the time. Like, I just think of the finishing part and just show a few
Yeah.
tips and tricks here and there, and that's about it.
Well, I mean, I still go to it and see, when I'm looking for something and want to know how to do something. And I've heard others say this, Izzy, and others that have said, it's kind of like the Rolodex of the old days. And now that really it shows you how old I am, right? The name cards in the
Oh,
Rolodex,
yeah.
where you used to flip through and say, yeah, I have this person who knows this and this person who knows that. And in some ways, that's what the maker community can be. It's an opportunity to share. And I don't know why there doesn't seem to be a whole lot of competition. There is, like how many subscribers you have and stuff. But I also see them always trying to support somebody else's efforts for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
At least the people I tend to follow all do. So
I swear all these comments are crazy tonight.
just
It was,
up,
yeah.
Mike.
I just stir things up for Gary on Sunday mornings.
Yeah.
Taj Mahal, but he only filmed the finishing portion. That's how it should go. I would love to get back to building. Don't get me wrong. It just always seems that, finishing is the call to arms right now. Then I'll do it. That's what I'm asked to do. That's what I do.
Yeah,
That's
it's
how I
like
look
we
at
said
it.
last
That's
week.
my
Look
least
what
favorite part, Mike.
Is what?
Finishing. By the time I get to finishing, my passion for the project usually is waned off.
Thank you. That is exactly the number one complaint from everybody and I've thought about this, is that you've had this inspiration, you've done the design,
Yeah.
you've done the build, which is the cutting and getting the lumber and all of that exciting stuff. You put it all together, and by the time you're done getting ready to do the sanding bit, you're kind of like, yeah, I'm now done with this. Like I'm
Yeah.
exhausted now.
Right.
And so the finishing part, they really just want to hurry through it and just be done with the project. And it's really not because finishing is not as much fun. It's because everything that came before it wore them out.
And unfortunately, it's the stuff that shows.
Yeah, I'm usually through after I finish building the jigs that I was going to use to build the project.
Yeah, that can happen too. It's one of the things recently I've gotten into turning, and we talked about Rebecca DeGroot, and she was at the Klingspor event, which I'm glad you're having it, but I'm really sad it's not live. I miss that live interaction. Hey, Rebecca. And by the way, that really attractive lady that's short, that's my wife.
Yes, that is Sue.
That's Sue. She is the best. So,
and Sue herself has gotten into turning as well. She's been inspired to do this,
which is kind of fun. I might, makes it easier to go buy a tool now.
That's true. So you can look like this.
That's right. She was learning how to turn a green bull, and I was trying to get a picture, and I wore the shavings.
There you go.
Anything for the cause.
That reminds me. Oh, it was probably 15 years ago, maybe. On one of our extravaganzas, we do at our day job. They put out these huge run of lathes, little mini lathes, and they do complete wood turning training and beginners and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
One of the customers he had come in and said, yeah, he convinced his wife to come with him to the show. I was okay, good. He said, so he's going to let her turn while he's off looking at tools. Little did he know that little hour-long turning exposition that she was going through, learning how to turn a pin, spawned quite a passion in her. And
Yeah, he's in trouble.
eventually she was turning so much, she took over his shop and allowed him to build a bigger shop separate from her so she could continue to build her empire of tools and woodworking
Yeah,
related stuff. And it was he came in into the store, I don't know, it was probably two or 3 weeks later. He goes, I said, man, where's your wife? You're in here with her all the time. He said, I needed a break. He said, she's trying to run me out.
But then pushed out, right?
So you got to be careful with that, man. You get her too excited about that.
Yeah,
And,
it's crazy.
might not have a shop.
I'm gonna yell at Angus because I think he's out there. He called me one day and goes, "You talked about getting into turning, and it was after Klingspor events. Yeah, see, sorry,
You already knew. Sorry, he kicked you down that rabbit hole.
bought this little $500. I call it the Easy Bake Lathe. It's just an easy
nice.
lathe. It's this small little lathe, and everybody had warned me, sort of, like that's the cheapest thing you'll buy. Oh my gosh, they were not kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Since then, I bought a used Laguna 1836.
Oh, there you go.
But I have spent, and I don't have hardly any, but the amount of money you spend on tools, on chucks, on whatever these things are that you have to have for a lathe, it is mind-boggling.
Mm-hmm.
And the lathe is the cheapest thing you will spend your money on.
Yes. Well, we used to have a joke in the store. What was it? $1,000 will buy you your first pen if you want to make it.
Yep.
And now, I mean, I know that's probably changed and gotten a little bit more expensive because that joke's for us, for Chris and I, that's 5 years old or so. But yeah, that was always the thing when someone comes in, I want to turn, I want to get into turning pens. And it's like, well, your first pen's around $1,000 after everything. It's like, what?
Yeah,
but
it's true.
It grows after that. And that's where, yeah. So the Easy Bake Lathe is great because I know a lot of turners who still have their original.
I'm keeping it.
And they do small stuff.
Susan at the shop. We got to share now. So.
Now you got to share. Well, no, you'll get another one. That's what'll happen. You'll have one for bowls and one for like pins or bottle stoppers or whatever.
Yeah, it's true. So, but it's been fun, and she's gotten into it, and it's I'm really enjoying it. And there's another example. There was a kind gentleman, and we call it every Tuesday now. I go down to my friend Scott Leach's, and I met Scott a little over a year ago. He saw my posts and he commented, and his Instagram is Utah Bulls. Scott is I hope he doesn't get mad at me for saying this, but he's very shy, but he is amazing. And I walked into his shop and my chin hit the floor. His shop is unbelievable. It's just, I think he has 5 lathes, and but he's, he used to work at the University of Utah, and he was, I think, in their contractor management or whatever, but he would help build things. So he really knows what he's doing. But he's the kindest guy, and for some reason, again, we hit it off, and we have old fart turning Tuesdays now, and he has taught me so much, and he's the kindest, most giving person I think I've met in a long time. I can't leave I'll never get even. I go to his shop, and he'll hand me something, hand me a piece of wood or this, and he gets called all the time to go cut wood down at the university or schools, and I've just gotten into it. I love it because it's back to the finishing, Mike. It's a project that you can start and finish in one day.
Yes.
You walk out. In fact, it's kind of become the joke. I come home and the kids all say, what did you, or either the kids, when my kids are here visiting, but Sue goes, what'd you bring home? It's like show and tell. What did you make today?
She gets excited. Now the bowls you have behind you, weren't those ones that you just turned over there, Scott's?
Yeah, this was like, I brought a couple down. This was yesterday's. This is huge. Here, I'll give you the best shot of it.
Oh yeah.
It's like 20 inches. It's this big, huge redwood bowl. I couldn't turn it on my lathe, but he has a big one. And and redwood's not fun to turn at all. But
It's responsibly sourced, correct?
yeah, well, it was a guy's tree that cut it down in the neighborhood.
Oh, even better.
So
Yeah,
that's
you're good.
going to him, and then, but, I walk into Scott's and he hands me a piece of burl that looks like this.
Now, see, that's wood porn.
Yeah,
That's
it
a true
is.
definition.
And, and he goes, no, just take it. And I go, Scott, you could sell this piece of, you guys sell wood, so you'd know. But we've done some fun things, and like this was one of the, and he tries everything. So this is one of the things we did, which was this is a threaded box. This was fun. And for some reason, and I'm not at all bragging, I've gotten lucky that a lot of times the first thing I turn is the best thing I do. And I should never do another one, because this worked. This was a threaded box I'd never threaded before. Chased a thread. And it worked the first time, which I don't know why it did, but I don't know if you can see the threads there. But anyway.
It's still cool. Now, do you think that because it's your first time doing it, that you're not judging yourself as you're doing the project? That's why it turns out so well?
Maybe that could be part of it. And Scott's a really good teacher, and he's really patient. And I think, a lot of times what he does is I'll show up there, and he's got two lathes, it's got several, but he'll be on a lathe, and then there's one right next to it. And it's like having private lessons, and it's just, you come home with something like that.
And that's cool.
And, in one day. So he does everything, though. He's into all kinds of different stuff. And like, I turned this platter, and this was the first time I'd done a platter. And you can see the profile on it. I'd never done one before. I think I want to do one again, because I don't think I'll do it well.
Well, see, I'm just going to put this out there, Gary.
Yeah.
Some people, you said you think you feel like you're lucky on your first run.
Yeah.
Did you ever consider that you might just be that good?
No.
You should consider that. I mean, all these people you hang around, maybe you've absorbed it by osmosis.
Well, there's truth in
their
that.
abilities to do some of these things.
Well, and it's like we didn't start that. We started with beads and coves. It's that Scott's asking, or Angus is asking about the wood. Speaking of generosity, I did a retirement box for him, and Scott donated that wood and gave it to me. And anyway, yeah, no, I've learned a lot from him. Yeah, there he is.
I was going to say, Angus, out of all the pictures you could possibly take, make sure your eyes are open.
Well, he's going to be mad if I chose it, because I liked his open mouth.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, you guys have a lot of fun.
That's Insta fame right there, who's taking pictures of who. So I don't know, but you're probably right, Chris, in the fact that I've been able to absorb a lot. So it doesn't feel like it's my first rodeo when I do something like that. And I fooled around my whole life, but just never it's a passion now. I don't go very many days without trying to do something and work with my hands, and there's solace in it. Most of this maker community gets it. For so many years, the measurement of success was not hard to, when you're in sales and marketing, the measure for success. Yeah, it's not subjective. It's, do you make your number? Do you not do that? But it's not gratifying. It's not like you felt like, wow, I was able to make something or create something. I think that's the coolest thing with the whole community is you start and you have something tangible to go, man, yes, I got to see that happen.
Or you got to actually hold what you watched happen on a YouTube video at some point.
Yeah.
And that's pretty cool too, to actually have it in your hand or to look at it and be like, wow, I know how that was made.
Right.
And that's right there. That is cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Or, hey, I had made that suggestion to Izzy when I was there. And I guess on the plane, he decided he wanted to institute that as his own. That's fantastic. I really like how he did that.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I've made a few suggestions to Izzy, but very few of them have had anything to do with building. Some of them have had something to do with marketing or that kind of stuff, but very few have had anything to do with the other stuff. But Yeah.
But that's always helpful information. It doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Right.
So we'll take a look at a little bit of Gary through the years, I guess you'd say. It all started with Charlie.
Oh my goodness. Those are my two daughters. I also have a son, but that is Shop Buddy Charlie right there. And my daughter, the one holding Charlie, that's Aunt Michelle. Kara's Charlie's mom, the one on the right. But Michelle made that sign, and I helped her make it when she was here. And I
That's
think we
awesome.
scroll sawed it, she painted it, we did all that. But my daughter's really getting into it. Both of them are a little bit. But the one holding the baby, Michelle, she's got a glow forge now, and she's wants a table saw bad. And the only kind her husband will let her buy is a saw stop because she cuts herself on a knife all the time. So,
it's a peace of mind.
Yeah, well, especially for her husband, he will, but she's getting into it, and that's fun.
Yeah.
It's fun when you see your kids enjoy what you do, and your grandkids. Yeah. And Charlie,
speaking of enjoying,
there's Shop Buddy Charlie right there. That was a year ago, and that was the miter saw station, and he already knew how to pick up a drill then, and he was in the shop today playing. He comes in, he goes, "Papa's shop, go." He wants to be down there. So,
and the one thing that I knew you for early on were these beautiful shots of these mountains with this snow on it.
Yep. That's the other shop. That's my friend right there. That's the other shop.
That's the other shop.
I have two shops. I have the shop in the house, and then I've got I call that the winter shop. And I've skied since I was 8 years old. And it's a passion. I taught skiing for 8 years. I could tell you all the injuries I've had. I broke my neck. I dislocated my hip. I've torn my hamstring. And everybody goes, "Well, you must not be very good." Well, the trouble is I kept trying to throw myself off cliffs and upside down and twists and all that stuff. So
you were into X Games before then.
Pardon me?
You were into X Games before they were.
It was extremely stupid.
Yeah. Well, look at it like this. Until you've been struck by lightning at least 5 times, Jerry Meesemer's got you beat.
There you go. There you go.
Yeah, if there's an injury report for the most ever, by far, he's got that one.
Yeah. No, I don't. I've had enough, believe me. But I love it. And I've never really been hurt. Well, I can't say that, but when I was just skiing like a normal person, it was when I was doing the last injury. I was just skiing like a normal person. Well, I was going 65, but I got hurt that day, so I was going 65. But
we're going a little fast. There's a little up close of the
Charlie sign. Yeah,
Charlie sign. The bedroom.
Yeah, see, that's a collaboration with my daughter. That's her. We made that headboard, and my mom. She wanted a headboard, so I helped her put the structure together, and her and my mom upholstered the whole thing.
That's awesome.
So it's mom gets involved in that stuff too. She is. I should have. If you really want to see stuff, you should have seen her stuff. But
you only sent me what you sent me.
I know. She sewed my daughter's wedding dress. And it won the state fair, and it had 50,000 hand sewed glass beads on it.
Wow!
So,
well, it's a good thing she went ahead with the wedding, because I'm sure she wouldn't have been upset if she didn't.
Right, that's right. And so far, they're still married.
Even better.
So that's a bat I made for my Blakey, the one we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Does he still have all of those things that he got? Because
he still has the screwdriver. He still has the toolbox. It's still in the shop. There he is. So that I don't know if he's still got the birdhouse, but he's got the toolbox and the screwdriver that Jay gave him, and that's Sean Stone there too as well. And yep, that was a great day. So
makes it worth it. Oh, and this gentleman here, he's local.
Oh, Abram is awesome. Outcast Woodworks. He's really a good maker. He made me that mallet, and I met him at Workbench Con. But he lives local, and he's a really good guy too. And I know I'm going to say this. I hope he doesn't get offended, but sometimes we tend to judge people before we know them by the way they look. Abram is a classic example that reminds me, never do that, because he kind of looks a little wild, and sometimes he's got the hair bun on his hair, and you think this guy's, and he really, really is into punk rock heavy stuff, which I just can't deal with. He is the most kind, best dad, loving guy,
Yeah.
Even if he does like to bang his head on that stuff, it's awesome. I love it.
Mike.
Yeah, he didn't make me
Mike,
feel
are you
so
into
bad.
that too?
Yeah, he didn't make me feel so bad whenever I post, and because sometimes I'm like, maybe it's too hard for some people, and there's some of his reels that I see, and I'm like, oh, I don't feel so bad now.
Yeah,
he's got like 25,000 people. I don't have anywhere near that, but hey, I don't feel bad now.
I'm back to the Kenny Rogers reference that was mentioned earlier. I relate to that one.
My portfolio of music on my Spotify is quite diverse. I started looking at it like, man, I was literally going to make you a list, Gary, of all the songs.
Yeah.
Every Sunday, I'm just going to start picking some that are more calming, because I have like Sunday morning, you kind of want something to calm.
Yeah. If it was the headbanger stuff, I'd probably swipe right.
Yeah, I figured. And it's all right. Yeah. But that works for me, because the first one I did with Alice in Chains, it was just like, that was in that moment. I thought, okay, that's for Gary. Like, I get it now. I see it, because when I'm doing it, it's just stirring paint, whatever.
Yeah, the Zen moment.
The Zen
stirring
moment.
paint.
Well, and I think I've even gotten to where I try to emulate the old Mike Ziegler from time to time. Sometimes it's a caricature. Yeah. Where I go crazy, but most of the time it's, hey, I want to be like Mike.
Well, what was the thing that you did with the rattle can? Like, you went to spray all crazy on something, and Izzy messaged you like, yeah, I can't even remember what the heck it was, but
oh yeah. So I had done that, just crazy mist, and it's like, hey, look at Mike Ziegler. I think Izzy thought I was putting him down.
Izzy?
Izzy messaged me and started giving me a hard time about me commenting like that on Mike, and I was like, I mean, how do you respond? It's like, Mike knows it was a giant joke, and I think everybody else did the way I did it.
So the beast was coming to protect Mike. Mike's as big as
clearly.
It was kind of a humbling moment for me, because I'm like, wow, okay, I would not have thought that. Really, he's so busy with everyone else. I really didn't think he would take the time for that. But when he said that to Chris is like, I really didn't mean to make him mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, Mike, what do you say here? I mean, it's like, I don't want to rock the boat already.
He can be protective. He can be really protective of his. He can be Papa Bear. I can be if I'm really pretty. But if you want to see me change, you threaten family or friends, and I can get pretty Papa Bear. It's the one area where I go, not doing that. So anyway,
that's the way it is, But hey, I think he misunderstood the way I had phrased it, and clearly he did. But it worked out. We just move on, and
he wouldn't hold the grudge. He probably didn't even know he did it.
Oh yeah. And then I said, okay, fine. Then I'll start a can opening contest with Mike, and we'll go that route.
Yeah.
So,
well, you did see. I mean, he's still got. Didn't you make something in his shop when you were learning the CNC?
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh, it's like double Mike. What was up with that?
2 mics at once. You were learning the CNC, and I think did he make you? I think it's still there. I thought you left something there. I can't remember what it was. Maybe not. Thought so.
I made something for him. I don't remember what it was.
Yeah.
I think it might have been a hammer.
Yeah, I think that might still be there.
I did a carve out, very flat version of the Thor hammer.
Yeah, I think it's might still.
And then put his name and stuff on it.
Yep. So.
Oh, I'm glad that worked. Sorry, I lost all audio. I couldn't hear you guys at all.
Oh, good. I'm so glad he couldn't hear.
And thanks for joining us. And next week we're going to have.
Welcome to Technical Difficulties with Mike Z.
Yeah, there you go.
Sorry.
So when are we going to do the Klingspor event again, Mike? In person? You think next year? Or?
Yeah, so I don't even know how to describe why it wasn't this year. It wasn't for the reason that everyone thought it was. I can put it that way.
Okay.
Because I'm not going to say words and all that, because I don't want YouTube to get all mad. or Facebook for that matter, but it wasn't necessarily for the reason everyone thought it was. It was more due to the entire global logistics issue.
Yeah. Just trying to even get getting
Circling.
anything is ridiculous now.
Oh, okay. So I was telling Chris, it's really bad when you call a manufacturer asking, "Hey, someone's just curious when this is going to be coming in," and they literally laugh at you and then hang up.
Yeah, that's not
I was
acceptable.
like, I was completely shocked that even happened.
Yeah.
But it was the case of like I think they're getting to the point of tired of answering that question because they don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that's really where it comes down to.
Yeah. I saw somebody, this isn't political. I just happened to see a post that they were showing, you can track planes in the sky, et cetera, right?
Mhm.
And same thing with ships. There's GPS trackers on them. And it was just a post of the United States and all of the ships just waiting offshore. Just hundreds and hundreds of ships waiting offshore. I'm assuming it was real. Who knows anymore? But it sounds real since we can't, and they just can't, get stuff in.
It's real. I've seen news agencies actually talk about it. So other entities online. So I mean, I feel
Yeah, it doesn't seem
confident.
to be one-sided, like
Yeah.
any political end,
Yeah.
right or left. It just seems to be a fact, and it's certainly a fact when you go to the store and look on the shelves.
Yep. And it's really coming down to a chain reaction of the entire logistics system.
Yep.
Everybody who touches one item creates it, ships it, checks it in, puts it on a truck, ships it to another place. Like everybody in that line is having
Is
those
impacted.
issues.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the demand, I think, in the industry that you guys are in and in the maker community, that just the demand, at least out here, I don't know what you guys are facing here, but in the West, the inventory of homes and the explosion that's going on, I mean, it's insane in Utah. It's crazy.
It's that way everywhere. I mean, we're where Mike and I live. We're, I don't know, an hour northwest of Charlotte. So even as far this way up, people who are having to work in Charlotte are choosing to live and move into this
Yeah.
area.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Reminds
it's
me of California in the 80s when I was
yeah.
trying to find a house. So I think I'm glad I'm getting old. You guys can deal with all this. Good luck.
Thanks. Yeah. That's
So,
Yeah,
that'll work.
had an appraiser come by the house today. We're trying to refinance, and he came by and he goes, "Literally, you picked the best time to refinance." I said, "Well, I wanted to do it back in the summer," and he goes, "No. Trust me when I tell you, you got all those wackadoodles got all through all of the inventory. Now things have finally reached the bottom, and they're going to start swinging up." He said, "You can already see it."
yeah.
And so he said, literally, this is the best time. He said, between now and the end of the year, if you're looking to refinance appraisals, your house will never appraise for more than it is right now.
Yeah. That's good to know. Yeah.
And I don't know what happened. My audio just came back. So whatever.
Angus, I know. How long did he wait for his band? So
He waited a long
that was
time.
before it got crazy, Angus.
It was right at when it started. We
Just
started
started.
noticing it. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was one of those things to where we had to order things last year for the extravaganza this year. There's a lot of things from December of last year that still haven't come in.
Wow.
And we're still waiting on those original POs that were put in.
That's crazy.
And then there's some things that we have POs for that then the company comes out and says, yeah, we don't know when we'll have that.
Yeah,
So just cancel all POs. Yeah.
And then there's products that are completely shut down because the whole country shut down.
Yeah.
Like the Timbermate putty. I mean, Australia is pretty much going, and so now.
Yeah, right. I know. Ash from Wood Whiskers, he's who made the funniest video of me apparently developing a broom for Australia woodworkers. So
I saw that.
Does it get pushed in the opposite direction?
Good point. No, but I think when you put it in the trash can, it goes the other way.
Oh, okay.
I'm sure that the dust collectors are go the opposite direction as well.
I'm confident you're correct. Yeah.
I'm confident in that.
I think that's it. Yeah.
Well, we can take a look and see. I just want to see, make sure I get, okay. So Workbench Con, you met a lot of people.
Yep.
For sure. Was that probably the biggest of the maker / YouTube meetup for you?
Probably was. I think it's funny. I met quite a few in Atlanta too. And, I part of this is on Izzy's coattails. There's no question about it. In fact, I went there to help Izzy at Workbench Con because he was still pretty much suffering from his, medical condition that since then he's had surgery and he's doing much better. But so, I was just there to try to help. And yeah, that's probably where I met the most people and got to put a face with with an Instagram account or a YouTube account. And I found it quite interesting. It was worthwhile. I was there without any real expectation, but the marketing guy in me just couldn't stop thinking about what it is and what it could be and what it won't be.
That's what we talked about almost the whole time was that.
Yeah, you and I sat, Mike, and talked and said,
Mhm.
I can see this is going to have a really short life and or a long life, depending on the direction they move. And it was a very much a meet up and a press the flesh kind of place where you could, get to know one another. And some of the I thought the breakouts were very good, but you can only go so far with some of that. Some of it was really good if you were just getting into it, et cetera. But where are you going to go? Where are you going to go next year? What are you going to do the next one? And I actually talked to Spags about Mark Spagnola about that. And, I said, what do you think about this? Because he came that time just to check it out. He and Matt were there and we didn't have a long conversation, but, I said, he thought the same thing. He goes, where's it going to go? But this is the marketing, the brain in me that just starts going, okay, well, if we're going to do this, and we're going to have this convention and you're really going to show them how to grow, like there needs to be more with how to work with manufacturers. There needs to be more with how do you develop product? How do you source product? Can you find, which is interesting. We just talked about how hard that is, but how do you find, some of these guys like Izzy and others, Jonathan Cat Moyes, they've developed some really cool things. So how do you work with those who are trying to turn their social media, which is really just an avenue to market and to sell, if that's what you're into production in that. So that was what I was talking about. So I enjoyed it, but I enjoyed it from an observer consulting type view with about 40 years of marketing experience,
And why haven't you, and this is a question that I think of is like, why aren't you putting yourself out there as maybe a resource to help someone just, let you know, hey, I've reached this crossroad in your experience, given what I'm doing, which direction do you think I should look at going?
Well, I've probably helped a few people one-on-one do that, and sometimes I think, well, should you do consulting? But there really is something about age where they look at you and I know this, I don't want to, but I remember going for an interview about 5 years ago, and it was for a company that I actually set up their entire channel, international and US. And the person that was hired didn't know that, right? Because it had transitioned and I think it had been sold. And she says, well, I think they're looking for somebody more relevant,
That's a bad misconception on their part.
And I thought, and it really, it was pretty obvious that, she found out I was like 60 some years old and she just went, yeah, we're looking for somebody younger, but
see, I think that's a
I
blind
could
side.
do it. I don't know if I want to. It's a lot of work,
That's true.
And I wouldn't mind it for the right person, and for the right opportunity. And it's like my wife, she helps put weddings on for friends. And she's often asked, well, why don't you do this for a living? And our classic response is, she doesn't love you guys enough. Because the amount of work that it takes. Well, somebody will work for Diet Cokes. Yeah, I'll probably do that. I don't know.
Work for Diet Cokes.
Yeah. But
the only reason I say that is because after talking with you about the marketing side of things, is that it's the same animal no matter how it changes its skin.
Right. It is.
You have going all the way back.
The medium of communication and the speed change. Yeah. Significantly. And the avenues to get there, used to be print, TV, and that was it.
Radio.
Yeah. But the messaging still has to be decided. How you're going to present yourself it's changed. Attention spans are shorter and all that, but the theory hasn't changed. and the experience that you've learned, what works and doesn't work, that hasn't changed, and things like that. So it's Angus.
Says you're hired. If it's only for Diet Cokes, he'll do it.
There you go. There you go.
But I mean, the only reason I say is because really, I have always had an interest in marketing. I really have since I was little. And I just remember looking at all these different things people were doing. And as time progresses, as you have Facebook and Instagram, I look at Instagram as nothing more for people as a portfolio. Remember, you had to print out all your pictures. You had to print out all your clientele's testimonials and hand it to somebody. So like you're saying in print, it's the same idea. If you're a small business, you have to print all out and then hand it to a client, let them look over it. Now social media can be used as that. Like it all just depends on how you want to do it and what do you use it for.
It can be used. Yeah, it's true. And I mean, then websites came out. I mean, rudimentary websites, right? And such. But the difference, I think, today is the interaction that you get. Like, there's discussion about micro influencers and all that type of thing, and the interaction you get and the speed with which it can go is phenomenal. But also the life cycle is shorter. The life cycle of any trend or product. Holy crap. I mean, TikTok and, reels and that kind of stuff. The life cycle is days, and I think that's why trying to make money on that stuff is, it's interesting, but I think it's as far as a way to get communication out and a way to get influencers. And, you guys know more than I do. It's a different market for me. I was in the IT market and such, but you guys, product, et cetera, you can see micro influencers and why do those work? You know why they work? It's because you feel like you know them.
Yes.
The biggest and best, they've tried to have trusted spokespeople, even back in the television days. Walter Cronkite, it's the way it is, I mean,
that's the way it was.
That's the way it is. Those types of people, that's why you still see Tom Selleck or somebody like that for us old folks, that are on there hawking. I mean, for heaven's sakes, just these old guys are out there hawking the stuff because they're quote unquote trusted, right? And I think what happens in the thing with social media that, is that it can build a level of perceived trust very quickly. Perceived, if Izzy recommends something and people have confidence in Izzy, it sells, and it sells quickly. And because people have confidence, and which the good guys take that responsibility seriously, and they protect their brand and they protect their image because, that's really what he has. He or, Mark's, Spagnola. I've watched him. I don't know Mark very well. We've had a few interactions, very limited. But you can see how careful he is, the Wood Whisperer is, at protecting what he does promote and what he doesn't promote.
Yeah.
Because he recognizes that his brand is, and his trust level, I call it trust equity. I'm sure I'm not the one who made that up, but his trust equity is huge. And if you screw that up, not only will your channel go to pot, but so will a lot of other stuff,
Yeah.
I think it's pretty interesting. It's as a guy who's been in marketing his whole life, it's interesting to see, and it's kind of fun to watch it on the outside. And then community, you dive in, and to me, the fun part of it is not all that. The fun part is that it's also an avenue to really create honest relationships.
Yeah,
and I'm humbled and grateful for the friendships I've made, and it has been, and I hope it continues to be a wonderful journey. I really do.
Well, and you can tell you've made friends because they constantly want you around, especially when it's time to put CNCs together.
Yeah, or sweep.
Yeah.
Or sweep. That's right. So we'll take a look at a few of these friends since we have just a couple of pictures to go through here. So this is another Workbench Con one.
Yep, that is on my left. let's see. It's hard to tell. On my left, at the picture, that is Brandy from Eternal Harvest Decor, and she's local and just a sweetheart mom. And her channel is doing very, very well. And on my right is Ashley. She's another local maker, and she was doing really strongly, and she's kind of backed off a little bit. She got married, remarried, and she's backed off, and kids and family, but she's really talented. And I think that's one of the really cool things is how many women. I have daughters, so I just am always, I just love seeing what they do. And I hope that doesn't sound one bit condescending, because I don't mean it such. I think it's wonderful. And the examples that they set, and that so often I've heard them more than once say they've walked into a Home Depot or something, and the guy starts answering to the husband or to the guy standing next to him because they don't think they know what they're doing. And I think, you dumb SOP, you have no idea, how talented they are. And oftentimes their creativity is far better than most of the guys I know, And,
well, if you think about it, it all comes back to Abram.
Yep.
Because he had the man bun. He's got the beard.
Yeah.
He just doesn't look like someone who would be so talented.
Yeah.
So a lot of people, they get it in their mind it's going to be this way. And my wife's the same way. She's the creative one.
Yeah.
I just live things. I just pick them up and put them down. She's the one that does all the creative stuff.
Yeah.
And at the same time, and boy, she will set them straight if they try to talk to me. Yeah. Oh yeah. She sets them straight.
Yeah. Well, look at my example I talked about at the beginning, my mom, so yeah, so that they're great people there. They were fun to meet. And it's funny we had to go so far to do it. We were going to have a big maker meetup, and COVID did that thing. So
took that one right out of the ranks.
Yep. Hello, Jess. That's Jess right there. Jess Ueda. She is just a fun, lively, fun spirit. And that's an Izzy connection that, she used to work with Izzy, and often I would be emailing or talking to her in those TMA meetings, the Toolmasters Association.
She was a moderator there at one time, wasn't she?
She was. Yeah,
okay.
She absolutely was. And she's just a lot of fun, and
I'm trying to think.
I finally meet her.
So if you didn't know who Jess is, her brother is famous for modern. Oh man,
Modern Designs or something. But
yeah,
Ben Ueda is her brother.
We know it so well, but yeah, Ben. If you ever looked up anything, Joshua Tree, California, just look that up, and basically you'll
that's
find
right
with him.
Yeah, good for them that they want to live there.
So that, you live in the desert, and I've lived in the desert, but I have to say Joshua Tree is one of those places that is barren.
Yes, it is. I've been there. She has a lot of Garys, and that started kind of the joke where Izzy would say, "You want to see my Gary?" Because all of her squirrels, she feeds squirrels out of her hand. Animals that she has such a soft, they'll come up and they'll eat right out of her hand all the time. And so she calls them Garys. So that was always a big joke. Izzy goes, "Well, my Gary could do this. What can yours do?" That
yeah, he did one time where my Gary can sweep. Can your Garys clean up after themselves or something? I remember that
stuff like that.
And Kevin,
Lefty's workshop. Kevin lives about 5 miles away, and he's a school teacher. He and I got together out there, and we rode back. I gave him a ride home from Workbench Con, from the airport, and he's a twin. His brother's righty. I think he's lefty. That's how that guy came about.
How that started. And I think we mentioned Jess Crow earlier.
Yes, I gotta get up and see Jess's shop.
Yeah, the new shop that's fully loaded.
Yeah, she's a busy girl. She is. She's got an amazing story. And yeah, that's another one. I just took a little. I went over at Workbench Con and sat in the class, and we sat and talked and hit it off. And since then, we've stayed in touch, and it's been fun.
And of course, you have Izzy and George.
Yeah, there's Izzy and George. And George. That was at your guys' place. That's at Klingspor at the
Extravaganza.
At the Extravaganza, apples for everyone. And
oh no! Speaking of which,
hey Coleman, The boss is on.
Yep. Oh, hey, so the extravaganza will be happening October
I
8th.
thought we banned that guy.
Hey, I
What's
helped
up with
sweep that
that?
place too. I think I helped sweep there.
You actually did help sweep, yeah, and not sponsored.
Yeah, not sponsored.
Hey Gary, half of my house has been rotted out with mold, and it's all been repaired. I need you to come help me sweep that up. You
Sweep
mind?
it. Yeah. Oh, maybe. You never know. So if you were closer, I would. So
we gotta have. I'm sorry,
big Sterling.
Gotta have
Yeah.
Sterling. Sterling's
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of Sterling's.
Yeah.
Just as a
Sterling is
person
one
in
of those
general.
big teddy bear guys that's just fun to hang with. And
I always wondered what he would look like mad. I really thought he was gonna be
I
mad
don't want to know. I
Yeah.
don't
when
want to
we
know.
surprised him with the table saw and Izzy's there and talking with his wife and his son's there and everybody's there and he opens up the door, I really didn't know how that was going to go because there's these people in his garage, like that's his space, like
Yeah.
it's sacred space. So, but
Yeah.
he was awesome.
Yeah. He was in tears. That was so. If you guys want to surprise me, I'm okay with it. I'll,
Surprise!
Oh wait, you know what? We should surprise Sue with a new lathe.
that would be awesome.
That would be awesome, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
If there
She
were
would.
lathes to have, we could
I
do
would.
that for you.
I would hear about it too. So,
Yeah, she got it and you didn't. You had to buy yours.
that's okay. Yeah, there it is again. You see me with Izzy a lot. That was I think
Oh,
that was at
he's in this
Workbench
picture.
Con. It was the Beast build. And he and Jimmy were doing the Beast build or something like that. And I think I went out the week before to help.
They were off to the okay.
He was suffering big time that week. Izzy was, he was in. So I tried to tell him to quit. He wasn't supposed to be lifting stuff, and I just, and he's a beast, man. That guy's
okay, and this is not between you and I, but at the same time, did you ever notice people were talking that you and I were getting up to get him things like the pizza or drinks or whatever? And I'm thinking to myself, if you had any idea how much pain that person is in right now, that man's in.
Yeah. Yeah, I was kind of his little gopher there, but I don't think they really understood why I was doing it. I was trying to keep him because he just
not moving.
He doesn't like that. He'll probably hear this and be mad. He doesn't like he'd rather be doing it himself, but he shouldn't have been. He wasn't supposed to be.
Right. Well, he wasn't supposed to be doing a lot of stuff.
You see Angus there? Coleman?
Yeah, get a store out there in Utah. They'll take care of you.
Right.
And then, if you haven't seen Sterling's TikTok, he posted to Facebook
funny.
and Instagram eventually, but it is hilarious. The last one with the 500, I lost it. I was really laughing hard.
Yeah. I don't know this gentleman, Foxhall Woodworks. I need to.
JP, if you go back a couple episodes, he was on with us.
Okay. That's who that is. Okay. Okay. Got it. Now I know. I just didn't know I'm getting all these messages all of a sudden.
You're popular. So in all of your journey, it is actually a great thing because you were able to bring it back. Tell me about this.
So that's Bella, and she is a neighbor. My wife works for the longest time was kind of helped run the Young Women's Program in our local church here. A member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. People know them as Mormons, and she was the Young Women's president. And they would come over and use the shop. And I think she was in wood shop, and she was trying to make something, and COVID had kind of shut things down. And so I had a lot of kids come over and use the shop during that time. And I love that. That is so fun. It's one of my favorite things to do is to have the kids come over and play and try stuff. And, anyway, she was over there. I can't remember what she was actually making now. But she was there, and I had several others come too. And a lot of times we used to have the scouts come over a little bit and, try things and learn about shop safety and that kind of thing. And that's the only time not the only, that's some of the times I really regret not buying the sock stuff. Was when
they have that there. Yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah. Because I didn't really ever let him use the table saw, but
it's never too late to solve that problem, Gary.
No, one of these days, maybe. The sad part is if I just would have done it then, the saw that I have costs more than that would have cost back then. But life goes on.
Yeah, it's a black grizzly, isn't it?
Yeah, I've got a grizzly, and it works great. I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. It's
You know what it doesn't do though? It doesn't stop the blade from cutting someone's finger.
no, it does not. Not sponsored, by the way.
That is absolutely 100% correct. Oh, yeah, good times there. So, in closing of the show, so you had mentioned Braxton earlier, and I was thinking if you had a story to bring up to remember him.
Yeah. Well, Braxton's another one of those guys that when I met him, he had driven all the way from, I think, Phoenix/Arizona. Well, I think he and Ty Mosier were came together, and Ty I think's in Phoenix, and Braxton was in Las Vegas area. And come to find out, they both were Intermountain boys. One lived southern Idaho, and Braxton used to live in Utah. But I think the story that I would tell about Braxton is his kindness, and his willingness to just really help people, and his smile. That guy he's a big boy, and he had a huge smile. And, I never heard him. I mean, I'm sure he did, but he was a great dad, and he always treated me with great kindness, and we stayed in touch. And I can't tell you how many times we tried to hook up when he would drive through Utah, and I'd be gone or he'd be gone. And that saddens me that we didn't find a way to do that more often, But I just feel like he really gave a lot to the community too. He was on Woodturners Worldwide, did a lot of demos with Carl Jacobson and some of those guys. And I just think it's one of those things where these paths cross, not for very long or very, and yet there was an impact made. And he was the kind of guy that made an impact. And, I feel for his family, and I know that there's a GoFundMe out there for their family. He left 2 young children, and he died from cancer. It was really, really unexpected and quick. And, the last text saw from him as he was going, "Hey, I'm in the hospital. Can anybody bring me a bottle of water?"
A bottle of water. When I read that, I'm not even kidding. It like chills went through my spine. Like, why is he on Facebook asking if anyone's in this area to bring him a bottle of
freaking
water?
water?
Yeah.
And then he went dark, and within 36 hours, he was gone.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah, I guess maybe the only thing I can say is you be grateful for the people that are in our lives, and be kind to one another, as Sterling often says, and try to improve somebody's day instead of, if you do that, the rest of it comes back.
Comes easy.
Yeah.
Because there was a lady that had so Chris and I at work, we do the online chat thing, and she put the weirdest sentence. And I actually, told her thank you very much for that. But it was, go ahead and have a good day on purpose.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I've never heard anyone say go have a good day on purpose.
Yeah.
I've heard people
wait
say
for it to come to you.
things.
Right.
Yeah, don't wait for it to come to you. So I thought that was very different. But Braxton, for me, he was the nicest troll. And I know it sounds bad, but if you remember back with Steve Carmichael when he dressed up as a wrestler and called out Steve Carmichael.
I don't remember that.
And then what he would do with Clean Sports, he would go through and he would tag us whenever he was laser cutting his 5-inch 8-hole discs on his laser cutter. It was a small little laser cutter. It wasn't much.
Yeah.
But he was always going through. He bought the bargain box for the late stuff.
I do remember that.
You remember that?
Yeah.
So I always thought that was crazy because it was like, it was trolling in a way, but it was his style.
Yeah.
If you go check out his YouTube, he had stuff out there where he was very much involved with the maker community. He had, I wouldn't say any shame to it, but at the same time, he was so funny without trying to be funny.
Yeah, I think you're right. He just had this sort of, it was an engaging guy. He made friends quickly, and like you said, but I remember how funny that was. He goes, "Hey, here's a way to save money. Just buy the bargain box and laser cut this stuff."
And then for I would say for a year after that, he wouldn't say 2 words. All he would do is just tag us in it, and then he would just show the laser cut now, and then him just shaking his head like, "Yes, I did." It was awesome.
Yep. So. Well, there you go. That's it. I don't know whether anybody cares, but it was sure fun to talk to you guys again. Maybe I get to see you sometime soon. I hope so.
I hope so.
I'd love to learn the CNC,
Yeah.
but I try to
Yeah,
learn
well,
it
we-
easy. We're too busy building them.
Yeah,
we
I
don't
guess
care
I'll
if
build
anybody
and stuff.
cares. We're here for you, Gary.
Oh, well,
We appreciate you being on with us. Really, I mean, this has been a lot of fun.
so well, it's been a good time. So
Well, let's see here.
Yeah, we
Let's
enjoyed
see.
it. And look at it like this: until you can't go 70 miles an hour downhill on skis,
yep,
once you can't do that anymore, it's time to just hang it up
yeah,
and do
I know.
woodworking full time.
Well, is
I
65
can't hang
okay?
it up. I didn't go much last year, actually. I didn't, and because I got hurt the year before. I tore. It was a weird day. It was like April. It was crap snow. I mean, thick, heavy, wet snow, spring snow. And I go, this is the kind of snow you get hurt in. I got stuff to do, and I ski with a bunch of old fart guys.
Hmm.
All of them are ex-racers, ex-skiers. So why do I go that fast? To keep up. And I know it's crazy. There's 8 of us in this gondola, or 6 or 8, whatever group shows up, all really good skiers. If you aren't snapped into your boots and on that thing, you're left, and so I said, I'm leaving. I'm going home. And I go down and I hit this. This little ridge. I'm skiing fast. Last run, right? I'm out of there. It's like only 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm leaving, and go over, and my right ski sinks in, and I tried to pull it off, and I should have just gone down, but I go, no, I can, and it spun around, and I tore my hamstring, and it went 6 inches down my leg. So I was hurt pretty bad, and anyway, I finally called Sue, and she just asked one question: did they take him off the hill in the sled? And because I had been hurt, like literally, I broke my neck and I skied down, and they said yeah, and she goes, oh crap, this is bad.
I'm serious.
So I didn't go much, and then I broke my ribs on a bike with my son, so I didn't go much. And hey, speak of the devil. So anyway, we're still on, babe. So that's my better half right there.
That's Miss Sue.
Yeah. And so anyway, but this year I'm going again. And yeah, you're right, Chris. I plan on going fast still.
Well, see, if you can't go faster than your age, then you know it's too much. That's why I haven't skied since I was
I
12.
got you. Sure.
Yeah, I stopped skiing at 12. So
Well,
if that
let's see,
tells you anything.
67 this year. So I think I can still make it.
See,
You
look,
got it.
this is being praised as one of our best episodes. You'll make it, she says.
So,
And this is from Kyle, who's seen them all.
Yeah, Kyle's
Thank
been
you,
there since the
Kyle.
beginning, so that's
He's one of the
that's
original Whitenatas.
Well, thank you guys. That's really good. So this is the best part right here. Come here. You've already inserted yourself now. This
Yep,
is
the
almost over.
best way to end the show is with your better half.
There you go.
So, there you go. So, and this is
Hi,
the best
guys.
right here. She's met these guys too, by the
Yes.
way. This is Sue, and Sue knows
so
Mike and Chris,
serious.
and they know about your turning.
Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
yeah, because he sent pictures, by the way, and he gave us this one of you.
Oh, lovely. That's a great picture. Mhm.
Thanks, Mike.
You're
No,
welcome.
you
Yeah.
could pick a day where maybe
Yeah.
I'd wash my face
Huh.
or something.
The
Well,
couch,
my
I mean,
hair.
in all fairness, he did send us this, which
There.
was your doing too.
the couch is looking kind of good tonight.
It should
I
be.
think we were all just more amazed at the beautiful bowl that you turned. I mean, I don't think any of us were looking at that. I mean, we're looking at the bowl.
She's
Yeah,
doing,
that was it.
she's doing good. She really is. It's fun.
It's great when I have help. Good help.
Good help. There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're going to take over the shop now, right? That's what Gary was saying earlier. You're getting into it.
You said you might
Oh, I
start
think he
taking.
wishes I would so that he could buy more things.
He's got to figure it out.
Busted.
You know, what is it they always say? He always says, yes, he's so worried that when he's gone, I will sell his tools and machines for the price he told me he paid for them.
Good luck with that.
They'll go quick.
That's okay. I've got kids in line now. I want that and I want that.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah. I'm pretty honest with what I pay for them.
He is.
Pretty honest is up there. You just
Define
didn't
the word pretty.
Yeah.
Well, at my age, I tell her what I think I paid for them more like what I remembered I paid for them.
Oh,
And I have recognized that a few times I think I paid less than I actually paid when I found a old receipt or something like that. I go, oh, I thought that was only like this much money. And then I realize, no, it was more.
yeah.
All I know is we're going to need a bigger shop.
Yeah, because Nick's going to give you a lathe. That's what he says
I
here.
like that.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you?
I heard that on my drive home.
You did?
Yes.
Oh, see, Nick, she already
I
heard.
sent you a text. I said, okay.
I haven't been looking at text, babe.
They've been going off though. He's popular.
Yeah. Okay.
Another couch. Well,
Well,
thank
guys,
you, Gary.
it's been a great time. I appreciate it. Thank you.
We enjoyed
Thank you
it.
for joining us.
Yep.
Hey, thank you guys, because this is a great thing for Gary. He loves it. He
What do I-
loves
what do I love?
woodworking.
Yeah.
He loves his community. It's been awesome.
Well, this is
Yeah.
a perfect
Great
perfect
people.
topic for him, and definitely it fits his personality as a maker and as a helper. Even though he doesn't think he's a maker, he is. I know
He is.
people who have told me that they look to you on some of your posts because they like some of the turning you're doing.
Yeah.
So you're influencing people whether you like it or not.
Yeah. That's just Nick. He needs to step it up and look higher, I think,
No, it wasn't Nick. It was someone else.
Oh, man, that's
I'm not gonna name names to call them out, but they're not in this chat line. But
Well, we've been lucky. We have two friends, Scott, and then she turns wood. Emily Ford, she turns wood. She's an amazing turner. And she's local too,
I gotta get on her leg. It's gonna
And
hurt.
Sue and she comes and helps Sue. And that's better because it's probably better when someone else teaches your wife than when you try to teach your wife.
Mhm.
We learned
Thank you, Scott and Emily.
Yeah. We learned in the ski school that when I was teaching that we all made a pact that we would teach the other person's wife, not our own. And that was the smartest decision that group of ski instructors ever made.
wow.
I can understand that. I can understand that.
So there you go.
Well, thank you again. I hope you guys have a wonderful evening. And, you, Gary, you, Sue, thank you very much for joining us at the last minute here, jumping in here.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
so whether you know him by Gary Bear, or Izzy's Gary, however you call him, this is Gary and his lovely wife. We do appreciate you coming on for sure and sharing your wisdom and your stories and encouraging some of the folks who kind of watch us. I think it probably was pretty packed tonight. That's the most
Yeah, it
I've
was
seen
packed.
chatting back and forth. So
I know I had to scroll quite a few times through the comments. There's a lot going on here. A lot of praise. And there was one in particular I wanted to call out from Angus.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, he had a good one for you. Oh, hold on. And then we'll go, I
This could be
promise.
scary.
No, it's a good one. It was about you skiing and something about, there it is.
Gary's a
You're
daredevil, just
the
us.
mountainside.
Oh yeah. That boy. Yeah, that's what it's like when you lose a tire on the mountains in a four-wheel. The lug nuts came off. Just ask him how we ended up fixing it, though.
he literally drove the wheels off of it.
We tried it. He goes, get a log, do all that stuff. Why don't we just try this? And he goes, well, okay. At the end, guess what worked?
Mr. Who knows nothing about
The guy
fixing
who
cars.
knows nothing about cars.
I'm telling you, you got this beginner luck to you by
It was
far
good.
because you're not
That's terrible.
overthinking
That's
it.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
3 hours later, we figured it
Wow.
out.
Hey, that's better than leaving it for the next day.
That's true. It was fun. It's a memory.
There you go. Well, thank you again for joining us, everybody. This is the Whatnot Podcast. I'm Mike Z.
I'm Chris, and go out there and follow Gary Bear Woodworks.
That's
Check
it.
him out.
All right, everyone, have a great evening.
Have a
Thanks,
good night.
guys. Have a
See you
good
next
night.
time. Next week's going to be fun too.
Looking forward to it.